Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the channel, Shelly's Millions. I think today we have a really great topic to talk about. An article came across my feed, and I was like, this is definitely what we're talking about on Sunday. And that article is an update on how that $20 fast food minimum wage is impacting things. So the article talks about if prices have gone up, if they've stopped hiring, if they're cutting hours, and I definitely want to know that. So I thought you guys might as well. So let's pull up that article. Also, so excited that the Dodgers won. I know that they were up against the Padres, but I'm an LA girl, so I'm not super big on sports, but in my neighborhood, it's hard not to kind of follow along because definitely like the fireworks are going and everybody's like really into it. And so that's kind of cool to see like the whole city be really into something and on the same page. And of course, if you guys want to talk about any other money, budget, or finance topics, let me know in the comments and we'll try and get to those. Okay, so that's not what I want to do today. Okay. Fast food. Actually, I know it's a Los Angeles Times article. Oops. Okay, that's not what I wanted. How did I? Well, this is not the article that I was looking at, but it is from a .gov website, and you guys know that I like those. Oh, I think it's the LA Times article that's right after this. But so let's look at both of these articles and see if they're consistent. Okay, so Rocky wants to know, and hello, Rocky, if why some companies are still not posting the pay scales for their jobs. So that is violating a new labor law here in California. Companies are supposed to post the range that their job is going to pay online so that you know when you're applying how much the pay is going to be. And Rocky, my guess is that it's just a mistake on the part of the employer. There's a lot of employers who maybe aren't based in California. I will say, especially since I helped people with unemployment during the pandemic, that there's a lot to keep up on top of. And I don't think that companies are intentionally leaving it off. I think that a lot of times they just don't know. It is against the law, though. They probably are not going to like it if you reached out to them and said, "Hey, I noticed that this information was missing from your job posting," but you certainly could. You could also report the posting to the Department of Labor. I'm also a bit surprised that places like Indeed and LinkedIn and things like that aren't catching when the posting is in the state of California that information is missing. And I don't know how it would work for remote jobs, but if they're in California, yeah, it's just a lot of labor laws to keep on top of. Yeah, especially if their HR might be out of California in another state. Yeah, and I've worked for a company, the movie theater chain that I worked for a little bit when I didn't work for the one I'm at now. Their HR department was not in the state of California. And so it's just a little bit harder. It might not be on their radar what California's requirements are. So I think it's just an honest mistake, is what I'd like to believe, that they just might not know. But I don't necessarily think it would do any favors to let them know or just tread lightly with that. Um, and again, for the posting of the salary range, that's supposed to be for internal postings. and for things that are posted on a website like Indeed or LinkedIn or something like that. And what I mean by an internal posting is, let's say you already work for a company and they put up a posting for a management job, and it's just an email that's only going to people that already work for the company. Those emails are also supposed to contain the range for what that position pays. Okay. Do you think that looking for a remote job is still good to look for work? I see many companies want people back in the offices. I mean, yes and no. So I've never really my friend that rents my garage to do work from home from, they may be like not renting it soon because their job is wanting them back in the office pretty much all the time. At first it was 3 days back, and then it was, I think they added Monday, and now I think they're gonna be adding back Friday. And I don't know how reliable this is, but I took a screenshot, let's see if I can find it, of a job that's hiring remotely. Sometimes here's sort of what I think about jobs that post that they're hiring remotely. I sort of feel like, okay, and I will have to tell you a story. I'm gonna take this off screen for a second just so everybody can see. So we're going to talk about how the fast food minimum wage has changed and impacted things, but right now we're talking about why companies are or are not following the legal requirement to post their salary range online. And then we've kind of started talking about remote work. Okay, so this is like a screenshot from a TikTok or like Instagram. I can't remember. Does it say on there? Probably Instagram. Okay. And it says Carnival Cruise is hiring personal vacation planner, fully remote, 80,000 to 85,000. That's more than I'm making, guys. And it says health benefits, 401k, employee stock, paid time off, discounts on cruises, special rates for family and friends. Okay. But here's why, like, I don't know about that particular posting, but I will say if something sounds too good to be true, I still kind of think it probably is. I'm working on being an optimist and things like that, but this was my experience. My technical very first job, I did it for 2 weeks, and it was doing inbound sales. So like the calls were coming in to a call center. It was really close to my house. I think my mom worked for the company, but like selling something else. I think I was 16. And what I was supposed to do is sell these like tutorials on how you could get a job on a cruise ship. I believe it was like fully remote, up to 85,000 probably, or whatever the equivalent was when I was 16. Like it was a lot of money. It was a good paying job. But all the company that I worked for wanted me to do is like sell a guide to people on how they could get these cruise ship jobs. So people would call, they would be very broke, very desperate to find a good paying job. Single moms, people who really were trying to get back on their feet. It wasn't all single moms, but people trying to get back on their feet. Some people just may be wanting to change careers that could afford this. Like somebody like me, if I wanted to spend $50 to research a guide, but in today's society, guys, never pay for something like that, right? Even courses that people sell you on YouTube, right? You can support your favorite YouTuber if you want. I think Jenny Silver has a course on how to become a YouTuber, right? So if you really like your YouTube, I bought Meet Kevin's course on how to be a YouTuber, and I like to reference it, but honestly, all of the information you can find on YouTube. So if you want to find out how to get a job on a cruise ship, don't buy like some guide. And I'm not saying that that post specifically was trying to sell that or that remote jobs in general are a sham. I don't know enough about it since I've worked at the same job for like 30 years, more or less. Um, all I know is that when I was 16, I worked at a job where I was supposed to sell a brochure on how to get a job. And people that were calling this call center, I don't feel bad about sharing this 'cause I don't even know the name of the company or anything anymore. But people that were calling this call center, they really needed a good job and they needed to be able to do it from home. And what they thought they were getting when they sent in their $50 or whatever for this brochure, they thought they were like gonna be getting a job on the cruise ship or like remotely working for the cruise ship. And all it was is like a guide on how to get a job on a cruise ship. It wasn't guaranteeing them a job. Obviously, I wasn't saying this when I worked for them. Um, they gave you a script of what you were supposed to say, and my sales were good. But I quit that job. Like, morally, it felt wrong. It felt terrible to be getting calls from people who you could tell on the other end of the line really wanted work and they needed a job and they just weren't being able like, they were sending in their last dollars to try and get a job that it wasn't actually guaranteed that they would get work. They were just getting the guide on how to work on a cruise ship. Um, I left that job. So they would try and get you like this was back like when COD, cash on delivery, was a thing. So it was like you would get the guide and then you had the option to pay cash upon delivery, COD. But even though this company had that as a payment option, they didn't want people to do that, probably because the guide was probably not great. I don't even think I saw the guide that people would be receiving once they sent us their money. They would push for a credit card or, I don't know if like wiring money or something like that. But like they had cash on delivery as a payment method, but then they wouldn't give you your commission on that, probably because like people would reject the form of like they would probably like not actually pay when they got the product. And it was probably really hard to recuperate that money. Um, but it just seemed like they would tell us to like, "Well, do you have to say something to the effect, "Well, do you have a friend or relative whose credit card you could borrow to pay for this today?" Like, they just really wanted us not to take COD, even though that was an option, and I just, like, didn't feel good about the product that they were offering, and it felt really slimy, um, and it's interesting because, like, oh, you can't see it, but on the other side of this plant right there is, it's my little Girl Scout award for being the top cookie sales girl. And a lot of the things that I'm reading now, like sales is really important. And sometimes, I mean, maybe it was the thing that I was selling, right? Um, but I just didn't feel good working there. I felt like it was a scam. And I think maybe when I see remote work, I don't know if anybody ever got a job from it. It would be so interesting, like, to, like, make a TikTok or something or, like, a YouTube short and be like, "Hey, did anybody ever buy one of these, and did you get a job?" I feel like somebody must have, right? Like, somebody I think with anything, if you pursue it, right? Here's the thing, right? There's many of, like, weight loss guides, and there's many, like let's just go with weight loss. People are gonna lose weight if you follow the thing, right? But how many people are really going to follow through and take all the steps? And then if you follow through with all the steps, you still have to like interview and get hired, right? Like, so how many people read the guide, did all the steps in the guide, went on an interview, and then landed the job? I should maybe follow that Instagram post and like see what that is. So for the most part, that's my experience with remote jobs, is that it's a little bit scammy, right? So I don't know if anybody got a job from it because like we didn't follow up. Maybe I should make a little TikTok or a short where I'm asking if anybody did that or if they remember something like that and if they got work out of it. With that said, I know that during the pandemic, a lot of jobs were remote. But yes, it does seem like they're calling people back into the offices right now. However, one of my other friends, he actually on one of my lives, he used to work at Groundlings, which is like an improv comedy place in Hollywood, right? They teach you how to like, and a lot of the Groundlings performers have gone on to like work on SNL and things like that, or Mad TV or whatever. It's improv comedy. And I gave away like some passes to like go see one of their virtual shows, maybe on one of my Thanksgiving lives, like the first year that we did the lives on Thanksgiving. And he now works a fully remote job and he seems to be happy with it. So the jobs exist, right? So again, kind of like with that Carnival cruise ship job packet that I was selling, I think if you really look, that you could find a remote job. Um, but it's funny because, like, I was selling that thing back then, and now I feel like I really wish that I would have focused a bit more on sales. I know I'm a good salesperson, but I need to believe in the product that I'm selling. One of the YouTubers that I listen to a lot is Layla Hormozy, of Layla and Alex Hormozy. They had a company called Gym Launch, and now their new company is, oh, what the heck is their new company? I don't know. But like when they were selling gym memberships, you can't have like the mentality of, oh, well, this person's never going to go to the gym. Like you have to really believe that like going to the gym is going to improve your health and it's going to make you fit. Now, do you need to go to the gym in order to actually do that? Absolutely, right? But like, if you believe in the product that you're selling, then it's a good deal. So, maybe I would have stayed selling the cruise ship tutorial on how to get a job if, like, I had gotten a job on a cruise ship. And I do think it would be cool to either work on a cruise ship or, like, plan people's vacations for them. It's also interesting because, I thought, like, it would be fun to be a vacation planner, but what I've read is that a lot of people are they're just planning their own vacations by using, like, resources that they found online. So I'm not sure, um, how many people still need a vacation planner. With that said, I've been to an all-inclusive resort before. I visited my friend who was living in Mexico City, and we flew to Cozumel. We stayed in an all-inclusive resort there, and, like, there's all these desks and kiosks and things like that where you can, like, plan your excursions. Like, maybe you wake up and you don't know what you wanna do, or you're at the all-inclusive, but you wanna go jump into a cenote or whatever it is. Um, a lot of times you're just going to book that right from the resort and you do it that way. And it's really easy and convenient. When I went to Egypt, I definitely think we overpaid, but again, we were only there for a day. We stayed in a really nice hotel. We booked our tour guide through the hotel. Um, and we stayed with that tour guide all day. And that tour guide was wonderful. It was worth the price that I paid to have it be like really easy and convenient. And I'm sure that we could have booked our excursions. And then, as a matter of fact, I think that we got emails to like plan our excursion before we landed, but we were not sure like how much time we were going to have and what we were going to want to do. So we didn't book in advance. But maybe that's the kind of thing it is. Maybe like, because I know when you're on a cruise, right, there's like a lot of land excursions. So anyway, I think remote jobs are probably out there, but I would go. It's interesting, right? Because I'm trying to change my mentality. I'm just going to tell you what I would do. I would go into it with a bit of skepticism. I would try to be optimistic about it, like, yeah, this is a real opportunity. This is a real posting for a remote job. But in the back of my mind, I would have a little bit of skepticism towards it. And then I might be one of the rarer people. I actually like going into work. I like seeing people. I like the variety that it gives me. I like getting out of the house. Um, I like meeting new people. So for all of those reasons, I really like going into the office. With that said, I would be mindful of like your commute. Um, you don't want to add too much time onto your commute, then that's taking away from like personal time. Like I just, as much as I love going live with you guys on Sundays, if I did nothing but sit in this blue room all day, and answer calls and everything, like I don't think I would like that. You wouldn't mind the 4-day work week that other countries are doing. Yeah, and it's so interesting because I essentially work a retail job, right? Which is and it's management, it's a good job and I love it. So, I'm not in any way saying that I don't enjoy what I do or that I'm not grateful for my job or anything like that, but it is essentially retail, meaning, um, I manage a movie theater for anybody who might be stopping in and doesn't know, which so in a second we'll segue into what the number one movie is, and then we'll actually go back and talk about the fast food minimum wage increase. But somebody has to be there to unlock the doors so that the guest can come in. Somebody has to be there to lock the doors at the end of the night so like vagrants don't wander in after you've left the building. Someone has to physically be there to pop the popcorn and collect the ticket stubs from the guest. So it is a very much like you have to go in, right? And uh, I'm going to work later tonight. If I were to feel under the weather, I have to find coverage for the shift. So if we went to a 4-hour work week at my job, like we would have to hire another manager, and I don't see that in our budget. Um, or they would just pay all the existing management team less, right? I mean, like, I don't know that for sure, but that's what I think would happen. Like, I don't see, and for most retail workers, whether you're physically going into a store, like if my roommate, they could go to a 4-hour work week for sure. Um, if you are doing something remote, if you're doing something where um if you don't go in, it's just the work is waiting for you the next day. But like real customers coming to your place of business, that's a one and done kind of thing. Like if they go to your business and it's closed, they're probably not going to go back the next day. You know what I mean? So I don't see a path to a 4-day work week in the retail sector, or they would probably make everybody hourly, right? Um, and they might not pay as much per hour if they have more employees on the payroll, and there's like payroll taxes and things like that that the company also has to pay. Like bigger companies normally have more requirements, like businesses with one employee or 0 to 1 employees have different requirements than businesses with 0 to 25 employees, and businesses with 25 to 50 employees have different requirements than other companies. Debbie, you always ask about the cat, and there he is. He's on my bed giving himself a bath. I have not officially moved in here. My mom is moving in, and I'll be sleeping in this room, so it'll no longer be a business write-off for me, the square footage in here, but I have not, even though there's a bed in here right now, it's still used 100% as the office. And let's have the little green guy give a movie update. Okay, so okay, hold on one second, you guys. I'll add it to the screen. Okay, there's a horror movie. Debbie also asks me about horror movies. There is a movie that's getting a lot of buzz about it. I don't think I'm gonna watch it. Sometimes, guys, my mom has a better stomach for some of these things than I do, but the movie is called The Substance. And apparently it has what they call body horror in it, and the poster is like somebody's like spine sewed up. It looks pretty icky to me. I don't think I can watch it, but I don't really do a lot of horror, especially now that I'm older. Like I could do that kind of thing when I'm younger, but now I just want like a nice drama, a nice comedy. But anyway, that movie's called The Substance. And this week at my theater, younger girl, like not super young, but like a younger girl, maybe in her 20s, brought her parents and her brother to see it. She's already seen it. It's like all the shows of that are really full. Um, but it sounds icky. Like in a good way, but like I don't think I'm gonna see it. So that's the horror movie is The Substance. And then what else? There's something that I think went straight to streaming called Beazle. And then I was looking at something last night on Paramount Plus, which I do not pay for. I get it as a perk with one of my credit cards. This movie, Apartment 7A, that looks pretty good for horror, Debbie, if you're watching. And then let's see, we're going to share the screen. We'll go back to that article. Command to share this tab instead. Number one movie this weekend. Let's try that. I don't know why I always do it like this. Is there a deadline? Just why don't I put deadline in there? Why do I always not search with the word deadline and then whatever? Okay, so got all mixed caps. 2 days ago. Let's see, top stories. 1 hour ago. All right, we'll do this. All right, so the number one movie. All right, Joker Folie à Deux frowns with 165 million. After the second weekend, The Wild Robot thrives, and Deadpool and Wolverine enters the top 20 all-time global chart. Oh, this is the international box office. Okay. After its sadly disappointing start last weekend, Warner Brothers and Todd Phillips' Joker Folie à Deux is still a sad clown, adding an estimated 22.7 million from 77 international box office markets. Actually, let's look at this one. Is this the domestic? I don't know. Let's see if this is domestic. I don't know why it matters, but okay. Clown versus Clown, Terrifier 3. That's the movie that I think people are excited about. So I think that's the number one. Is Joker 2 post a record drop for DC character pick? Awards season darlings shriek. Sunday box office. Okay. Sunday AM final. In one of the year's second best triumphs for the indie genre cinema after Neon's Long Legs, Cineverse's under $5 million investment, Terrifier 3, is screaming to an estimated 18.3 million 3-day, that's the weekend, after an $8.2 million Friday, 5.9 Saturday, and 4.2 million Sunday. That Sunday hold down 30% is on account of the Indigenous Peoples holiday. The threequel received a B cinema score, which is high praise from the moviegoer pollster as it doesn't hand out a lot of A's to horror titles. The jaw-dropping awe is how this movie, which has a largely marketed to Cineverse's soul, bloody, disgusting fan base and 80 million streaming subscribers across 30 channels for under 1 million, broke out to bigger numbers. Unlike some of the other wide entries this weekend, iSpot doesn't show any national spots for Terrifier 3. Many studios have tried this low P&A spend, laser-focused demo marketing approach, and just seem to come up short of the box office. What's the secret to success when it comes up to this approach? Blah, blah, blah. Okay. Sorry, I'm just scrolling trying to see what the other good movies were this week. Waka Waka Waka, I'm number one at the box office. Terrifier 3. Okay. This is a big drop for a movie, especially a big one like Joker. Warner Brothers' second weekend of Joker is posting an 81% free fall. In third place per Warner Brothers this morning. That's the absolute worst hold for DC character movie in the history of the brand on the big screen. Triple note, James Gunn and Peter Safran's DC Studios did not steer or shepherd Joker 2. Oh, and the number 2 movie was the cartoon robot, Wild Robot. This drop isn't a shocker, as we saw Joker 2 doing worse than the second frame of Marvel Cinematic Universe's The Marvels, which dropped 78%, which was the worst hold for that Disney labels movie. Okay. So that's the top 3 was Terrifier 3, then The Wild Robot. Is that what it's called? The Wild Robot, and then Joker 2. What are the other movies? Saturday Night, Piece by Piece, and The Apprentice. I heard Piece by Piece is actually pretty good. Okay. I am going to check your comments, see if you guys have questions, and then we're going to go back to talking about that minimum wage thing. Okay. You've been hearing about that movie. Is it that spooky? Are we talking about The Substance? I don't know if they just keep saying it's body horror. Okay, I have not looked at Elon's new robots. It's a driverless taxi, right? Kind of like the Waymo vehicles. Maybe we can look at that in a second. I do want to see about the impact of the $20 minimum wage, see if I still think that would be a good second job. I'm going to take a sip of coffee. If you guys could please take a moment and like the video. Okay, after raising minimum wage, California has more fast food jobs than ever before. What you need to know. Since the $20 an hour minimum wage law went into effect, California has added 11,000 new fast food jobs. Oh, I want to talk about 7-Eleven in a second, and maybe CVS. As of July, California now has 750,500 fast food jobs, the most in state history. Sacramento. According to new state and federal employment data, California's fast food industry has added more jobs every month this year, including 11,000 new jobs in the 4 months since Governor Gavin Newsom signed the fast food minimum wage increase into law, helping workers get the benefits they deserve. For the first time in history, California now boasts 750,500 fast food jobs throughout the state, more than ever before. Since raising workers' wages every month this year has seen consistent fast food job gains, and nearly each month has seen more jobs than the same month last year. Here's a breakdown of the data. So let's do January 2023, 715,000 fast food jobs. January 2024, 724,900. February of 2023, 725,100. February 2024, 732,700. March 2023, 730,900. March 2024, 735,000. April, 734,400. April 2024, 739,500. May 2023, 742,600. This gap is closing though, because May of 2024, there were 743,300. Oh, now this is interesting. June was down a little bit because June of 2023, there were 745,800. But June of 2024, it was 744,700. But it looks like what they're saying is okay, it's increasing. And so in July of 2023, it was 746,700. In July of 2024, it was 750,500. What's good for workers is good for business. But that could be, but they're saying it's not. That could be if you have more employees but working less hours. So we're going to read another article in a second. But this says, what's good for workers is good for business. And as California's fast food industry continues booming every single month, our workers are finally getting the pay they deserve. Despite those who peddled lies about how this would doom the industry, California's economy and workers are proving them wrong. In September of last year, Governor Newsom signed legislation to increase the minimum wage for California's more than 500,000 fast food workers to $20 per hour. It also created the Fast Food Council, where workers have a stronger say in setting minimum wages and working conditions, including health and safety standards. Okay. But I'm going to go back and then I think, yeah, this is the article that I saw. Okay. Column, the latest info on California's $20 minimum wage for fast food workers, higher pay, no job losses, and minimal price hikes. And then it's got this picture of now hiring sign, ask the manager, or text apply 11511 to 36453. Be a part of a winning team. No. Okay. Let's see if you guys have any questions on this. No. Okay. Okay, and the person that wrote this article is Michael Hiltzik. I'm probably not saying that right, but I am trying to give credit to the author of this article. Okay. Which of California's economic initiatives drives conservatives batty the most? No question, it's the state's $20 minimum wage for fast food workers, which went into effect on April 1st. For months before the wage increase, conservative pundits and economists filled the airwaves in newspaper columns with predictions that it would produce an employment bloodbath at fast food restaurants. Some went further, purporting to find actual evidence of huge job losses. The Wall Street Journal claimed to have discovered losses of 10,000 jobs between September 2023 and January of 2024. Even before the new wage went into effect. The estimate was duly parroted by the conservative Hoover Institution. This is that same quote. What's good for workers is good for business. And as California's fast food industry continues booming every single month, our workers are finally getting the pay they deserve. Governor Gavin Newsom on the state's $20 minimum wage for fast food workers. Two new analyses of the actual wage and price impacts of the $20 per hour minimum have appeared this month. They employ slightly different statistics, but their conclusions are the same. There have been no job losses in fast food resulting from the increase. By some measures, employment has increased. The first analysis to appear came from the Institute for Research on Labor and Employment at UC Berkeley. It found no measurable job losses, significant wage gains, as one might expect from raising the minimum wage to 20 from an average of less than 17, and modest price increases at the cash register, averaging about 3.7%, far lower than the fast food franchise lobby claimed were necessary. The second comes from a joint project of the Harvard Kennedy School and UC San Francisco. Not only did that survey find no job losses, but it also debunked claims or conjectures from minimum wage critics that the increase would show up as reduction in hours or fringe benefits. Nothing of the kind has surfaced in the months just before or just after the new law, according to Harvard UCSF's survey's authors, Daniel Schneider and Harvard and Kristen Harknett of UCSF. In response to wage increases, they wrote, employers could have looked to cut costs by reducing fringe benefits, such as health or dental insurance, paid sick time, or retirement benefits. We find no reduction of evidence of reduction. I do want to stop to comment on that really quickly. So that's interesting. You guys are probably having trouble seeing that article. It's a little bit small. But anyway, I don't think that's the kind of fringe benefits that I was expecting to see cut. Here in the state of California, things like sick pay are regulated pretty heavily, as are health benefits, all that kind of stuff. What I would expect is like you've always heard about like tuition assistance from jobs like Starbucks and McDonald's and things like that. And a lot of people kind of go into that for that so that they can get that tuition assistance. But that's just not like in California, you're not going to be able to cut the health insurance. You're not going to be able to cut paid sick time. So, and then I guess 401ks they could cut, but like most of those are in place. A lot of like lower level employees aren't participating in those anyway. And that if companies participate in offering a 401k plan for their employees, there's tax benefits for the company as well. So I don't know. I think it's probably the possibility of cutting more like tuition insurance. Maybe like if you used to get a shift meal, some companies offer a free shift meal. Some companies offer like 50% off if you come to eat there on your day off, or like if you want to buy food on your break. Those would be the kinds of things that those would be the kinds of perks that I would expect that they lost, not things like health insurance. So I don't know. Okay. And again, I feel like I would rather talk to people that I know to see what they're saying about this. Ba, 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 ba. Okay. So they find no evidence of reductions, but they're talking about things like dental insurance, paid sick time, retirement benefits. That's not where I would expect to see it, though. Okay. These results are important for several reasons. One is that the fast food minimum wage increase is one of the sharpest ever, and the resulting wage the highest in the country, with a few minor exceptions. It's also one of the most tightly targeted, applying to California stores of fast food chains with more than 60 nationwide locations. The sector employs about 750,000 workers in the state, 90% of who were paid less than $20 an hour on average, slightly less than 17 before the new wage went into effect. This is a big deal because of how many workers are getting raises. Sorry, my neck and back are killing me right now. The UC's veteran labor expert Michael Reich, the lead author of the Berkeley study, told me the estimated average 18% raise for affected workers means that some will be able to afford a better apartment or a used car. Employers get benefits too. The minimum wage kills a lot of vacancies and improves the supply of labor coming to those restaurants. That means less worker turnover, which is a bothersome expense. The fast food raise has been presented as a signature achievement by California's Democratic Governor Gavin Newsom, who depicts it as an emblematic of the state's progressive labor policies. What's good for workers is good for business. And as California's fast food industry continues booming every single month, our workers are finally getting the pay they deserve. Okay, I'm reading it like that because this is now the third time that we have read that statement. Okay. Then we've got a chart here. What is this showing? California employment in the thousands. Is this fast food employment? Oh, yeah. Fast food and other California full service restaurants is that. Okay. So fast food is this solid red line. The solid blue line is across the US. The dotted blue line is full service US, and the dotted red line is full service California. Oh, everything hurts, you guys. Okay. California has been a leader in raising minimum wage. The overall state minimum wage this year is $16 an hour and is scheduled to raise to $16.50 on January 1st, which, by the way, let's take a pause there. Okay, so $16.50 January 1st. That means that anybody on salary, okay, if you make, to be salary, you have to make double minimum wage. So I'm going to take this off screen for just 1 second. So it's going to be 16.50 times 2. So salary, everybody's going to have to average $33 an hour times 40 hours a week equals, if your salary, your minimum wage is going to need to be $1,320 a week times 52. So minimum salary next year is going to be $68,640 if you're a salaried employer or a salaried employee in 2024. That's going to be your minimum salary right there. What is that up from? 16 times 2 equals times 52. Oops. 16 times 2 times 50. 16 times 2 times 40 equals times 52. So currently, if your minimum salary needs to be $66,560. Okay. Let's add this back to the screen and keep reading. Okay. Okay, California has been a leader in raising minimum wages. The overall state minimum wage this year is 16 an hour and is scheduled to rise 16.50 on January 1st. That's the highest state level minimum wage and the highest except for the District of Columbia where it's 17.50. Certain localities in some states have higher minimums. The California minimum wage for certain healthcare workers will rise to between $18 and $23 an hour on Wednesday. Congratulations, healthcare workers. Okay. The issue is also timely for California voters who will be asked on election day to vote on a minimum wage increase for employees at all but the smallest businesses to 17 immediately and 18 on January 1st. Interesting. Very interesting. And I suppose, like where I work, they're already at 18. So I don't know. All that has made the fast food minimum a favorite target for employers, their lobbyists, and some right of center economic commenters. The minimum wage issue occupies a peculiar place in economic analysis. Many economists and commenters judge it by intuition. If you raise the price of something, such as the price of fast food labor, conventional economics say you'll get less of it, hence higher minimum wage, fewer jobs. But it's also among the most heavily studied of all economic phenomena, with the overwhelming majority of studies finding little or no employment effect from a higher minimum, but none examined the effects of a minimum higher than 15. That left the door open for critics of the California minimum to claim that this higher minimum was destined to wreak havoc on fast food employment. Some jumped the gun by finding job losses even before the law went into effect, ostensibly because employers were cutting jobs in anticipation of higher cost. Uh-oh, dang it. I lost my, whoops. Okay, I lost my page for a second. But it's also, blah, blah, blah. Okay, that left the door open. Oh, nope, I read that one. As I reported in June, the California Business and Industrial Alliance placed a full-page ad in USA Today citing the Wall Street Journal's figure of 10,000 fast food jobs lost in the fall and early winter and describing 12 restaurants or chains as victims of Newsom's minimum wage. This was baloney, sliced thick, I wrote. Some of the chains listed were victims of other economic factors, such as competition or financial manhandling by their private equity owners. The figure of 10,000 job losses proved to be a statistical error. The Wall Street Journal used non-seasonally adjusted job figures, so it missed the fact that fast food employment always falls in the September to January period. So the looming minimum wage played no role. That was something of a curveball for UCLA economics professor Lee Ohanian, who had cited the journal's figure in 2 columns published by the Hoover Institution, where he's a senior fellow, writing that the pace and timing of the employment decline made it tempting to conclude that many of those lost fast food jobs resulted from the higher labor cost employers would need to pay when the new law kicked in. Ohanian told me in June that he hadn't realized the figures weren't seasonally adjusted and that he would query the journal about the issue in anticipation of writing about it again. He told me more recently that he did write to the journal but didn't receive a reply and that he hasn't revisited the issue thus far. So what do we know now about the $20 fast food minimum? Government labor statistics haven't shown an employment decrease in the fast food category leading up to the April 1st date, or in most of the months since then. The Berkeley researchers, led by Reich, found that fast food employment rose almost steady this year from January through August, when it exceeded 750,000 for the first time. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, employment in the sector during that period has run ahead of last year's monthly figures in every month except June. From April 2023 through August this year, the BLS says California's fast food employment rose by about 3,200 jobs on a seasonally adjusted basis. Reich's team questioned reports of sizable price increases by restaurants aiming to pass their labor cost increases onto customers. The Wall Street Journal, for example, quoted one restaurant owner saying he had raised menu prices by 10% and a McDonald's franchisee fretting about losing his customer base if he had to raise the price of a Happy Meal to $20. This was nothing but a flight of fancy. The price of a Happy Meal in California ranges from $4 to $8 today, depending on its content and size. Based on their examination menus from nearly 1,600 restaurants, the Berkeley researchers calculated the average price increase to be about 3.7%, or about 15 cents on a $4 hamburger. That was less than the 4.8% average increase imposed on fast food customers from April of 2023 to April of 2024. Their math suggests that fast food restaurants passed about 62% of their labor cost increase in April to customers. The rest was taken out of profits. None of this is likely to be the last word on the minimum wage issue. Future increases for fast food workers will be in the hands of an advisory wage council and subject to legislative oversight. It's still early in the post-$20 era. Wage and price effects may take many more months, even a year, to emerge, though over time, the hourly minimums for other sectors may move higher, making the fast food wage less of an outlier. Employment figures, moreover, can be hard to validate. Several different statistical models are in use by states and federal government. UCLA's Ohanian reminded me that the quarterly census of employment and wages of the Bureau of Labor Statistics, which covers about 95% of businesses, is currently only through the end of March. The next release, covering the second quarter of 2024, won't be published until December. It's calibrated with the Bureau's other estimates only once a year. Don't expect anything published then to quash the debate over California's fast food labor policy. The evil of the minimum wage is a favorite chew toy in conservative politics. But the bottom line is that workers in California fast food industry are better off today than they were 6 months ago. Who has a problem with that? All right. So that's what it says on minimum wage. All right, you guys. What do you guys think about the $20 fast food minimum wage? Are you eating fast food less? When you do you notice price increases? What about employees? Do you know any employees who have had their hours cut or have been let go, or they're not hiring as much as they used to? I'm curious about all of those things. So if you have any information on that, please let me know in the chat. I think we're going to go ahead and head out early today, unless you guys have any questions about what we just read in that fast food minimum wage. I did want to, I guess, hold on. We're gonna do one more thing. We're gonna do one more thing. I went to a 7-Eleven by my house the other day, and I found out that they're closing. And then today I saw that they are planning on closing about 400 7-Elevens. And I think CVS, let's Google 7-Eleven closing. Okay. 7-Eleven is closing more than 400 locations. New York, several hundred underperforming 7-Eleven locations across North America are closing, the convenience store announced. 7-Eleven Holdings, the chain's Japan-based parent company, revealed an earnings report Thursday that 444 locations of 7-Eleven are shutting down because of a variety of issues, including slowing sales, declining traffic, inflationary pressures, and a decrease in cigarette purchases. Oh, that's interesting. A specific list of closing locations wasn't immediately released. The chain has more than 13,000 stores across the United States, Canada, and Mexico. So the number of closures amounts to 3% of its portfolio. I'm going to take a sip of coffee. In its earnings release, Stephen and I said that while the North America economy is robust overall, it noticed a more prudent approach to consumption for middle and low income earners because of persistent inflation, high interest rates, and a deteriorating employment environment. A combination of those factors led to a 7.3% decline in traffic in August, capping off 6 straight months of declines. The chain also pointed out that cigarette purchases, which was once the largest sales category for convenience stores, has fallen 26% since 2019. I'm going to say that that's really good. Smoking is so bad, like for your health and for your budget. Cigarettes are so expensive, you guys. Oh, Joy and Joey's. I don't see your comment earlier. All I see it just says identity star. So I don't see your other comment. Anyway, 7 anyways, so yeah. A market shift in sales to other nicotine products like Zyn hasn't made up the difference. 7-Eleven told CNN in a statement that it continuously reviews and optimizes its portfolio, and the closed stores are part of its growth strategy, adding that the chain continues to open stores in areas where customers are looking for more convenience. The 444 closures is a gentle pruning of the chain to keep it efficient and profitable, according to Neil Saunders, a retail industry analyst and managing director with Global Data Retail. The locations being closed have likely suffered from a disproportionate decline in foot traffic and customers as consumers battle with rising food prices and cut back on the amount that they buy. In some areas, increased competition from online and value stores will also have taken their toll as consumers seek out lower prices. Meanwhile, 7-Eleven said it will continue to invest in food in the United States since it's now the higher sales category and a top draw for customers. Competitors like Wawa and Sheetz are earning higher customer satisfaction scores from their overall offerings, while 7-Eleven ranked way lower. I don't know what Wawa or Sheetz are. The company's latest financial results come amid a takeover offer from Circle K owner Couche-Tard, which increased a bid by $8 billion to $47.2 billion this week. Wow. Okay, so 7-Elevens are closing. Good. And I believe that some CVSs are closing too. So even though we just read that other article says that minimum wage increases aren't necessarily impacting like fast food restaurants, no closures or things like that. And like 7-Eleven's not considered a fast food place. But what I'm seeing, okay, so during the pandemic, I would go to 7-Eleven a lot. There's one that's close to my house. That's one that's closing. I went there the other day. I was going to buy a bottle of wine from 7-Eleven. I know, but it was late and like it was convenient, right? It's a convenience store. And they didn't have any. And then I noticed that they didn't have, I also sometimes have a Red Bull. They didn't have Red Bull. And they didn't have, and then I noticed that the whole shelves were empty. And I was like, what's going on? And I asked, and they were like, we're closing. I will say that during the pandemic, when I went to 7-Eleven more often, like I kind of feel like it's an issue of like the homeless. Every 7-Eleven that I've been to recently has like sketchy homeless people. Maybe I'm supposed to call them unhoused. Maybe I shouldn't say that they're sketchy, but they are. Like in the 7-Eleven that's closest to my house, there's routinely, he looks like a young man, like an older, like he looks like he's maybe 19, 20. And he just literally will go back and forth from the door to the 7-Eleven to like this restaurant next door, and he just screams. He screams. I'm like, that's scary. So I don't want to go there. And then sometimes there's people that are just like sitting, they look like they're passed out. They look like they might need, like that they're definitely on something like right in front of the door. And I mean, it's always been like a little bit like that, but now it's a lot like that. Okay. Joy and Joy says, weird. I just said hi. And it's been a while and that you hope I've been doing well. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad that you're doing. I'm hello to you as well. Scattershot says Wawa and Sheetz are Pennsylvania convenience stores spreading to other states. Okay. Yeah, and Joy and Joey says, "I'm sure the crime hasn't helped either." Yeah, and that's what I was just alluding to. Oh, and yeah, there's, like, a lot of, like, smash and grabs at 7-Eleven. You know what? I don't know what they're stealing, though. What could be worth it at 7-Eleven? What, why are they stealing from 7-Eleven? Hmm. Mm. Cash and cigarettes. Oh, no. Okay. Let's look at this. Let's read this one. Sorry, you guys, sometimes we should just call this like reading news articles that interest Shelley. But like I'm curious about these things. So if I'm gonna read it, I might as well share it with you guys, right? Okay. The LA council member calls for more police after latest robberies at 7-Eleven stores. And I don't know. Okay. This article is by Brittany Mejia. A Los Angeles City Council member is calling for more police officers and resources following the latest in a string of robberies and ransacking at 7-Eleven convenience stores. And guys, actually, when I first went into my local 7-Eleven, that's what I thought might have been going on. I was like, oh, maybe this is one that got hit. Like it didn't occur to me that the 7-Eleven would be closing until like I got up the register, and then that's what they told me. Okay. So, police received a call about a theft suspect in the 100 block of North Gaffey Street in San Pedro at about 1:39 a.m. Saturday, according to LAPD officer Rosario Cervantes. She said people went inside a business, took items, and vandalized the store. Officers took a robbery report, but no arrest had been made. Although Cervantes said she did not have information on what or how much was stolen from the store, KTLA TV reported more than 1,000 packs of cigarettes and 2 cash registers, which contained around $5,000 were stolen. Okay, I'm going to also say that I feel like, personally, I feel like maybe that was an exaggeration. I don't know any business anymore. Most people pay by credit, and maybe not at 7-Eleven, but most people pay by credit or Apple Pay. Most people do not carry cash, and I'm just gonna tell you that as a business, um, like, we don't have as like, where I'm at, the amount we keep in a register is less and less, and then the amount that we're depositing at the end of the day is less and less and less. Like, we just don't do as much cash as we did. When I first started working at the movie theater, we didn't even accept credit cards. I worked in a mall, and there was an ATM, like, kind of catty corner to where the box office was, and people would be like, "Oh, you don't take credit?" And I'd be like, "No, but there's an ATM right over there." And, like, they would have to get cash, and through the years, that's just decreased and decreased and decreased, and I know a lot of people, it's decreased so much that they're like, "Why are we bothering counting out the initial amount that we make change out of?" And it's just decreased a lot. Like, I don't know, $5,000, like, that doesn't sound like the amount in 2 registers. That to me sounds like an amount that would be, like, in the entire safe maybe, not 2 registers, but what do I know? What do I know? Okay. Um, I guess my feeling is kind of if they had that kind of money in the register, like, they're doing something wrong. Okay, ABC, but maybe not. What do I know? If it were my business, I would not have that much I would not have that much money in the register. And I find it a little hard to believe that they would need that much cash in registers. ABC7 placed the number much higher at 40,000 in goods, including maybe it was lottery tickets. That could be, including $1,000 worth of cigarettes and 20,000 worth of lottery tickets. KTLA obtained a surveillance video that showed a group of people jumping over the counter and grabbing cigarettes and other items. The news outlet reported that a large crowd had gathered for a street takeover near the store. Councilman Tim McCoster, whose district includes San Pedro, said in a statement that the incident is a continuation of a pattern helping across the city. This isn't just about property damage or items stolen. It's also about a victim, an employee fearing for their safety in a neighborhood that is both in fear and now without a convenience store on the corner. It's deeply disturbing to me that incidents like this are becoming more common. It's seemingly the third weekend in a row that a 7-Eleven store in the Los Angeles area has been hit. Earlier this month in the Pico Robertson area, a group of young people ransacked a 7-Eleven store and left on bicycles. Video showed people jumping over the counter and grabbing merchandise. Last weekend, several men on bicycles robbed two Hollywood convenience stores, which were reported to be 7-Eleven stores. Roughly 20 young men arrived at a store on the 7,000 block of Sunset around 8 p.m., smashed windows, and grabbed food and other merchandise, a department spokesperson said. A group of young men fitting the same description then hit another store around 8:20 p.m. on the 5700 block of Santa Monica Boulevard. Authorities last month arrested 4 LA County men in connection with a series of armed robberies of 7-Eleven stores and a CVS last year that they later allegedly posted about on Instagram. McCoster said resources in 911 operations are needed, as well as increased LAPD staffing. We could have stopped this at the street takeover before it escalated, he said. That's why we need to expedite hiring in the LAPD. Our officers must be able to respond quickly to prevent these incidents from happening. KTLA spoke with the family who owns the 7-Eleven, who said they'd immigrated to America 3 years ago hoping for a better life, but were now questioning their decision. And I guess like oops, what was it that I wanted to make a little comment on? 2 seconds. Oh, I kind of wanted to comment on like the whole like defund the police movement, right? I think maybe the police need more funding and more training. Something that I have said in the past, I've been robbed before, you guys. And I think anybody for maybe like 3 months, anybody that was walking towards me, they're just walking. But if they fit the appearance of the person that robbed me, it made me nervous. The person that robbed me went to jail, but I was like, maybe he contacted his family members. Maybe like they don't tell you like, are they in a gang? Are they not in a gang? Like, so you think do they have gang members that they told where I work and like what I look like and things like this? Like you get a little bit paranoid, right? Um and I've grown up in like rough neighborhoods and things like that. Like I don't consider myself to be like judgmental or anything like that, but like if you have something like that happen to you, I think it would be really hard to not have it, to not make you predisposed that if something else that feels or seems similar, like brings up your guard, right? So I think for the police who have situations like that happen to them daily, I think basically like if you're a policeman and you have a gun pointed at you by someone else, take them out of the field for 3 months. Like let them recover mentally, let their like nervous system relax from that incident. And of course, like police, I'm sure go through special training and things like that, but they need more special training, right? Like I don't know how a police person couldn't be on edge. So I think rotate them out so that they're not in the field, so that they're not making like um decisions based on being on edge. You know what I mean? So they need more training. They need more police officers that they can rotate out with. They need things. And I think that would help. More training, like less force, but more training on how to use less force, right? So I don't think we need to necessarily defund the police. I think we need better training and more resources to protect the mental health of our police officers and maybe more screenings on their background to begin with. Because I can also say, like, anytime anything tragic happens, and I wrote to the White House and I wrote to Karen Bass and I wrote to all my local politicians the last time there was like excessive police violence with my ideas. I think it's really sad that people that we're supposed to trust abuse their power, right? So I 100% agree with that. But on the flip side, I don't think defunding the police is the answer because, like, as a business owner, like, well, I'm not a business owner, but as like somebody that manages a business, if I were those people in 7-Eleven, I would want to be able to call 911 and have somebody come quickly. I have been in the position where we've called 911 at our business and it's taken a long time because they give priority, right? To like, is it happening right now? Am I just going to fill out a police report? But like, if they could have got there faster, maybe we could have caught the situation that was going on before, like, it was too late, and, like, by the time they got there, we weren't able to do anything about it. Like, if something were happening to your kid or your spouse or in your neighborhood, like, you want the police to get there fast. You don't want them to use unnecessary force or to hurt someone if they don't have to, but, like, you do need them to come quickly. So, I don't know. I think maybe we do need more funding for that. Okay. Joy and Joey, this is interesting. You worked at a 7-Eleven years ago and their safe is on time. You can only get cash every so many minutes. I don't know. This was years ago. That's probably accurate. But okay, so can you comment if it seems like a lot that 5,000 was in in 2 registers? There's no way that they're keeping that kind of cash, right? You normally, let me just like in general, you need to keep change for one $100 bill. Maybe at 7-Eleven, maybe you need change for maybe if the safe's on a timer, maybe you need to keep change for like 3 $100 bills, right? Maybe it's 7-Eleven, maybe you need change for 5 $100 bills. I could go for that. Maybe you need to keep change for 5 $100 bills in the register. But beyond that, like, I just don't know. I don't feel like you need more than 500 in each register, which would be like 1,000. I find it very, very hard to believe that that would be if there were 2 registers, that would be $2,500 in each register. Like I don't know about that. That doesn't seem right to me. Okay. Joy and Joey says it's because our criminal law sucks. They can get away with it. It's under 1,000. LOL. Funny, not funny. Yeah. Okay. All right, so those are kind of my thoughts on that. And again, some of you guys are like, Shelly, you should be a politician. No, because it's not easy, right? Like, because on the one hand, I can see that our police are violent and they're not handling their authority properly. So I'm like, yeah, defund the police. But on the other hand, no, like if I'm a business or if I'm being robbed or if something bad is happening, I need the police to get there quickly, right? So you can't have it both ways. You can't want the police to get there quickly to help you if you need them, and then also want to defund them. But I see both sides, right? Like I see why people are saying defund the police. But I also see, like in that situation, like, hey, yeah, if there's a street takeover, send those police quickly. So yeah, and this Joy and Joey is saying it also. Too much crime, not enough officers. But then, like, it's almost like when the officers do see a crime, they're like, yeah, I'm gonna really show everybody. Like, and that's not the right attitude. Like I'm gonna show people. Not the right attitude at all, especially from policemen who are in positions of power. You know what though? Okay, here's what I think. F a speeding ticket. Well, unless you're endangering someone's life. So but like sometimes speeding tickets, guys, are like rolling through a stop sign. Like maybe don't do that. Like, but I guess have you guys heard that they have to make quotas at the end of the month? And like that's supposedly like why people get like more speeding tickets at the end of the month is they're like trying to make a quota. Like I feel like maybe don't waste the resources on that. But like, is that the highway patrol? I don't know. Maybe I don't know enough about the different divisions, but I feel like maybe unless someone's speeding like so quickly that they're gonna take a life. Like if somebody's going 5 miles over the speed limit, like let it go. Let it go. And like just focus on getting to my business that's actively being robbed. You know what I mean? Like and then there's the matter of where are they going to get more funding? Are we going to pay more money? Like a lot of people have had really bad experiences with the police and they don't want to give the police more money. I can't blame them. Yeah, the 2,500 would be a lot. You're a manager to check cashing, and we didn't keep that much there either. Yeah. Yeah, and, like, you literally need to have money in your register to cash people's checks, and they're not somebody is fibbing on that. They're not keeping $2,500 in their safe. Sorry, 7-Eleven. Don't believe you there. Um, so yeah, but, like, it's sad. Okay, can we look really quick? At first, I was gonna end early, and now somehow we've gone late. I do wanna look at because I feel like CVS's are also closing. I just feel like and then I feel like what happens when the 7-Elevens and the CVS's and all of these things close, then I feel like more unhoused people, like, kinda set up there in, like, these abandoned business areas, and then that makes the entire community not as great, you know what I mean? Um so let me add this back to the screen and I want to look at. I just feel like recently, like a lot of businesses are closing in California. I don't feel like we're in general gaining more jobs. Let's look at CVS. Oops. CVS closures. Hmm. CVS Minute Clinics closing. CVS Shutter 25 LA area. Minute Clinics. Maybe they're not January 2nd. All right. Maybe they're not closing. Maybe it just seems like they're closing. Okay, so the Minute Clinics, those are not, and this is from January of 2024. But the Minute Clinics are the things inside the CVSs where you can go and get like your flu shot and things like that. There's 10 of you in here. So happy Sunday, everybody. Welcome to the live. It's about to wrap up. So if you have any last minute questions, go ahead and drop them in the chat right now because we are going to probably wrap up pretty soon. Okay. Joy and Joey says, you think it all depends on how you talk to them. Most of them, here anyway, match someone's energy. They take a lot from people, especially the race card. Yeah, but like sometimes they don't, right? Of course, like a cop's gonna like match someone's energy. And this is really sad to me though. I had a coworker, I call him my little brother. And he's African American. And he said that his grandmother taught him like that basically, like, anything that somebody white did, he's like, "You can't go out and do that. You have to always be better. You have to always be mindful that you're not gonna get treated equally, so you can't be out there, like, being a fool like someone else can," basically. And it's sad, that parents have to teach their kids to be, like, extra careful of somebody that should be there to protect them because sometimes yeah, if I'm a jerk, the cops are gonna be a jerk to me too, right? And if I'm nicer, you catch more flies with honey than you do hot sauce. I don't know what the saying is. Um, but, like, at the same time, like, we've seen it in the news, like, where just somebody just doesn't deserve it, and they're treated really inhumane by people that we're supposed to look up to and trust, and that's what we that's what I have a problem with. Oh, Scattershot 8 said Rite Aid is out of bankruptcy, so they should come back. All right, well, that's awesome. Let's look at Rite Aid closures real quick. And I feel like I see way more, maybe let's look at businesses closing in the state of California. This is an article. Oh, I forgot about Big Lots. Oh, let's look at this is starting to be really interesting to me, the auto-generated AI answers. But my best friend was like, "I'm really proud of you for, like, looking at the sources that this is coming through." Okay, several businesses in California this is the AI overview. Several businesses in California are closing, including Big Lots, Target, and Nordstrom's due to a number of factors, including declining sales, rising prices, and retail theft. Some Whole Foods in San Francisco closed. Some Nordstroms in San Francisco closed. Family Dollar and Express are closing. Target, Big Lots. Interesting. So that's okay. So this is the Big Lots closing. I'm going to tell you why that piques my interest, because Big Lots used to be Pick and Save. And when we were talking about Family Dollar closing, and when we were talking about the 99-cent store closures and that kind of thing, who was rumored to be going to buy those stores? It was like the founder of Pick and Save, which became Big Lots. So, but now Big Lots is closing too, so that's not great. Ba, 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 ba. All right, maybe, okay. So next week, closing, selling, or changing your business. Oh, you guys, I might, okay, this might be for later. This might be for me to read. I may need to change Shelly's Millions to just a hobby and not a business, especially like now that I'm not using this room. Guys, look at this cat. He's just been sleeping there all during the live. He loves it in here. Anyway, that's that outside cat. That's not really mine, but apparently it's an inside cat now. Anyway, okay, you should read. Those are some douchey cops. Yeah, there are. All right, you guys. Anyway, I might have to change Shelly's Millions to not be a business anymore. I might just need to change it to a hobby. I have not made a lot of money this year. I think, between paying for this program StreamYard, which I love, but like between paying for this and like just some other little things for the business, I don't think it's making money. It hasn't made money the last few years. So I think it's turning into a hobby. I am hopeful that when my mom moves in, that I'll be, I don't know, like that I'll make some more videos. Okay, for now my back hurts and I'm going to head out. So thank you guys so much for watching Shelly's Millions. I'll see you next week. Let me know if there's anything that you want to talk about. There are tax implications, I guess, for shutting down a business. So I need to see what that happens. Scattershot 8 says their channel is a hobby. Yeah, and for like definitely 2020, it was a business. 2021, still kind of a business. 2022, 23, and now 24, I've all lost money. Basically, last year when I did my taxes, it was like, hey, lady, if you keep reporting a loss, like you might not be a business. The government might start to notice. So I think I need to look into that. I wish Jenny Silver would make a video on that. Maybe I will reach out to her and ask her. All right, you guys, thank you so much for watching Shelly's Millions. Have a great Sunday. And yeah, I'll see you next week at 11 a.m. where we'll talk about finance, budget, sometimes how politics affect our money and our finances, store closures, the $20 fast food minimum wage, and yeah, anything else that you guys might want to talk about. Have a great rest of your day. Thanks for watching Shelly's Millions. I'll see you next time.